The head coach of Canada, John Herdman, who likes to run his mouth at times, has come out and said that his team wanted to play the U.S. men's national team in this tournament, that they want to beat us in the U.S., something they haven't done in 100 years, and that they have the extra motivation to get that win. A David and Goliath in Cincinnati. Like, what David and Goliath? What the hell is he talking about? And that fires me up. It makes me want to play, actually. You want a piece of us? I want to give them a piece of us. I want to lace them up and actually play. But then I'm reminded, everybody, that John Herdman is actually in BJ Callahan's back pocket after BJ led the U.S. men's national team to a dominating 2-0 win in the Nations League final against Canada. And then I start to relax a little bit. Anyway, how are you guys doing?
You pumped me up with that intro, by the way.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm good. Well rested. 4th of July was amazing. And I don't know, you missed our last pod. Me and Heath, we chopped it up.
Yeah.
So you got a lot to cover on this one.
Hey, I will say this though. John Herdman's got a little Jurgen Klinsmann in him, huh? Like going to the media constantly of just like lighting fires, playing little games. The problem is that they had this whole like Kings of CONCACAF thing happening for a little bit, and now they're not. And on top of that, he could just hedge like he did already and be like, Guadeloupe didn't even get out of the group. And he was like, Guadeloupe, people look at them on paper and go like, they're nothing. And then, he's able to hedge them being the worst thing they can be is Canada again. And he's playing the cards as if they're Canada again, which is like, if we win, we beat the U.S., David versus Goliath. We lose. Yeah, but it was the U.S., right. What are we supposed to do? As opposed to before when they were the Kings and Milan Boran was wearing his sweatpants on the field and he was taunting crowds and they were talking about how everybody wrote them off. Like that was a Canada that I was all about that Canada. They were confident.
No, Heath, this is John Herdman's ego right now.
Yeah, it is.
Deflated.
A little flat.
A little flat. And for me, he's just screaming, me. Hey. Did he not learn his lesson in the World Cup when Croatia absolutely smacked them up? Just keep your mouth shut and focus on your own team. Stop the David and Goliath thing. You won World Cup qualifying. You were in first place. And because of your tactics and your ego, you got absolutely smacked and spanked in the World Cup. And then in the Nations League, you got dominated again. So now in this tournament, in the Gold Cup, get your team to focus on playing to their strengths. You don't have Jonathan David. You don't have Alphonso Davies or Kyle Larin or Tajon Buchanan. We get it. You're not as strong, but you still have some quality. You still have some quality. So go out there and play a smart tactical game because you got out-coached by BJ Callahan in Nations League. So let's see what you bring to the table in this game.
Hey,
okay, Jimmy, we're going to have a preview. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick on the Herdman stuff. What I worry about with him, and I'm sure he's a good coach, right? Because he did something spectacular with that Canada team going into the last World Cup. Not at the World Cup, but to what he did to get him there was like has to be respected.
Sensational.
Yeah. But I feel like there is that turning point where now you got a bunch of people that are looking at Canada differently, right? Players and teams are prepping for them differently. The media is looking at them differently. The expectations are different. And I feel like this is a real crucial moment for him to evolve and grow as a coach. And I worry that the screams and the proud like beating of the chest through qualifying that was working isn't working now. And now this yelling from the top of the mountain feels a little bit of an insecurity versus like a confidence, right? Of like creating these narratives versus before things were falling in their favor. They were a good team and they were smacking people in the face in qualifying. This could come to backfire him in the end. And by the way, Canada as a federation in a lot of turmoil. So like sometimes it just might be better to let you motivate your players behind closed doors, get him to do it. Having said that, if they beat the U.S., man, he's going to be on top of the world.
Well, I think that he's trying to set that up. As we discussed on this podcast a few times with various coaches in our careers, sometimes they use the media to motivate players, motivate their team overall. And I think the guy, let me say it like this. I think he's wearing a lot of different hats. He's trying to raise money. He's being critical of the Canadian Federation, that they're not doing enough, that they've dropped the ball in so many different ways. There's so much unprofessionalism happening at that level, and it's trickling down to his team and how they can perform. He's obviously without some of his star players in this one. And now it is, to your guys' point, it is a testament to his coaching ability. Can he get the same out of this group that he can get from his more talented group when they're executing? We saw in the Nations League final that his most talented group didn't have a lot of push either. I mean, I thought we were in complete control of that Nations League final for a good portion of it. Yeah, they had a couple moments where you could see that they were threatening, But overall, I never felt like we weren't going to win that game. And that felt very un-Canada-like under Herdman in this recent iteration of this team, especially when he had everybody available. And now you come into this one where I think he's got to play the David and Goliath card because they're shorthanded. They don't have their star players. They would usually rely on those players in this one. Like Jamaica's bringing all their guys. This is what Canada used to do. They bring everybody to the Gold Cup. They've got to win some type of competition. And Jamaica's got those vibes in this particular tournament. So I think Herdman's wearing a lot of different hats. Is he playing it right? I guess it's yet to be seen. But
Jimmy, before the Nations League
sounds like
game,
Jimmy's trying to get invited to Thanksgiving dinner at Herdman's house. You know?
I honestly think Listen, I was fired up at the start, and then you guys talked for like 10 minutes, and I lost my momentum.
No, I think you really want a Canada job. But no, before the World Cup, before the Nations League final, he on the sideline told Nico Cantor they had a great World Cup. And to me, this is during the game.
Is he rewriting history there?
It's not some sort of like mind game with this team because they're to say they had a great.
Hey,
World
they were
Cup,
good against Belgium. To be fair, they were good against Belgium.
But that's delusional to say you had a great World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, there was a peaking moment in their first game, and it showed that. I think from that sense that belief came in of like, oh man, we are a national team quality. I mean, a World Cup quality national team, and then it all fell apart from there. But like. Yeah, that is a bit delusional, but you know, you can always look at that as like, you know, but at least we were in a World Cup, so that's pretty good compared to not being in a World Cup. But I think that's a little bit of an extreme thought, Chuck. Well said.
Okay, listen, I don't want to be on Canada's staff. Can I go back to that? I don't want to be on Canada's staff. I'm just
you want to be the staff, Jimmy. There's a big difference.
Yeah, I believe you, Jimmy.
Oh, come on, come out of here. You guys are trying to trigger me here. Listen, what I think is interesting with this particular team that he's brought. He went 3-5-2 in the first game against Guadeloupe. They went with a 3-5-2, 3-4-3 against Guatemala. That was a 0-0 draw. Both games were draws. And then against Cuba, 4-2 win in the last one. They went with a 4-4-2. Obviously, when you have some options with Richie Larea on the right side, you got Osorio. I mean, they can play multiple different spots. And so I think they're going to morph in a couple different ways. But to get into the preview of this game, I think it's interesting that Miller and Cavallani started against Cuba up top. They had Junior Hoylett, the number 10, who'd be the captain, 58, 59 caps for the team, ton of experience, be kind of floating underneath. Are you worried about those three up top at all? Because
no.
I don't know. It's just tough. The group stages are so hard to analyze in the Gold Cup because of the drop.
You don't need to analyze anything. This is a Canada side that lacks a threat. The best player on the pitch for them in terms of the attack is Hoylett, Junior Hoylett. He's the creator. We saw in these group stages, there's those moments where they rely on him to come up with that special moment, whether it's the set piece, whether it's a cross or a dribbling 1v1 moment. That's their playmaker. And then Richie Larea is probably the other most dynamic player. That's your right back, and he's been that guy for Toronto FC. Other than that, Cavallini hasn't been a real problem in years. So
right.
And the midfield is I would argue toothless. So
my guy is just
Jesus.
He's not having it.
You're
today,
you're definitely not running for Canada's staff.
No, I'm not. And I'm being real. I'm being real. The U.S. men's national team should win this game.